A young girl gets lost in a dangerous county on a road trip and gets involved with drug dealers. The film opens with our lead, Sawyer, getting a voicemail on the running track, confirming that she's been selected for a job interview in Washington she's always dreamed of. She goes straight to the library and uses their computer to figure out the routes, since she will be taking a road trip instead of a flight. Once she's cleared up on the route, she packs up and hits the road. Using the GPS feature on her road, she drives a long way, only to find the road closed at one point. The GPS directs her in another direction, but when it tells her to take a left, the phone's signals die. She throws away her phone and drives back. She takes a road map and decides to pave her own way. She stops at a point to lay down the map on her car's bonnet to figure out where she is. Her mother calls her, but since it's thrown somewhere in the car, she doesn't receive it. Not long after getting out of her car, she's approached by two brothers who stop by to offer their help. One of the brothers does tell her the way out, but ends up taking away her map and stopping her from getting back inside her car, claiming it's going to get cold and dark soon. Hence, she must join them in their house for a dinner instead. When she becomes uncomfortable and tries to back them off, they insist at first and then try to capture her. Luckily, she has her protection knife on her, which she uses to injure one of the brothers and runs into the woods by the road. The brothers chase her, during which one of her thighs gets badly injured, yet still she outsmarts them and runs deep into the woods. By the evening, she discovers the creek where she quenches her thirst and sleeps near the narrow river stream. The next day, an anonymous woman reports Sawyer's abandoned vehicle on the road to the police, so they conduct their search and find signs of hustling on the road, so they start investigating houses nearby. Their first house turns out to be of the brothers that tried to capture Sawyer, now one with a broken nose and the other with a gut injury. The older brother convincingly tells the police that he isn't aware of any such abandoned vehicle. But when the cops see bloodstains on the other brother's shirt, they become doubtful. However, they head back to the station due to no concrete evidence against the brothers. Back in the creek, Sawyer tends to her wound by cleaning it in the river stream and using her socks to bandage it. She becomes weak due to starvation and the injury, yet she still cripples her way ahead with her chapped lips. On her way, she witnesses the brothers throwing her car down the creek in order for the cops to stop bothering them. She quickly goes near her car and takes out her phone from there, which is still working after the crash. Sadly, there are no signals on the phone, so she keeps walking around, hoping to find signals to make a contact. By the evening, she faints from cold and hunger. When she regains consciousness, she finds herself in a trailer house owned by a hunter named Lowell. She threatens to burn off his face using a toxic substance that looks like salt because she feels threatened by him. She eventually does throw the substance in his face and tries to run away, but faints once again. On the other hand, one of the police officers asks for updates from another officer on the brothers because he believes they must have an alibi that's helped them get rid of Sawyer's car. Strangely, the officer doesn't take interest in the case and tells the other to drop the case. Meanwhile, Sawyer wakes up once again and finds herself tied up by Lowell, who's now placed a sandwich and water near her. She instantly gobbles up the sandwich and drinks water to hydrate herself. When Lowell asks what she was doing in the woods, she comes out clean and tells him everything. Soon, Lowell spots a car stopping by his trailer. He quickly notices that Sawyer is about to scream, so he covers her mouth. When he walks out, it is revealed that the brothers have come by his place and are his cousins. They ask him about Sawyer by describing her, but he lies about not knowing anything. The brothers don't get convinced and barge into his trailer, where Sawyer has luckily escaped by burning off her tied rope with that toxic substance. She hides near a broken down truck, but when Lowell's cousins leave, he finds Sawyer and drags her back inside because he's being protective of her and doesn't want his evil cousins to get their dirty hands on Sawyer once again. Back in the police station, the senior sheriff tells his officers to escalate the abandoned car's case since it belonged to a girl that has gone missing. Sawyer currently becomes comfortable with Lowell and asks him to let her go to Washington for her interview, but Lowell reveals he has no vehicle to help her, though he promises to take her for the interview on the weekend because his cousins are going out of town and he'll borrow their car. At night, the police officer approaches the brothers, revealing him as their alibi. He argues with them about throwing away Sawyer's car and how the police have become extra attentive on the case. Back on Sawyer's side, she spends days with Lowell and finds out he makes meth for a living. As the weekend approaches, his cousins show up, but this time with a couple of boxes. Lowell puts on a mask and burns some toxins to fog up the place when the brothers enter so that Sawyer can run away. Lowell joins her later, revealing she never left him. On the other hand, Deputy Sheriff Nick is seen giving full time to Sawyer's case, even on Thanksgiving. He puts all the possible clues together on a softboard, while speaking to his wife about how joining her Thanksgiving isn't as important as saving a missing girl. When the dirty sheriff takes notice of this, he immediately orders Nick to go home for the Thanksgiving dinner because he doesn't want him to find out about the brothers. Nick happily takes the day off and goes to his car, where his wife orders him to get whipped cream before showing up to dinner. Sadly, his phone dies, so he isn't able to deliver the message that he's going back inside the station to grab something he's left inside. He makes the biggest mistake stepping inside and eavesdropping on the sheriff, who's scolding the brothers on call to clean their dirt before he gets caught and is fired before getting to the retirement package. The sheriff comes out of his office and finds Nick standing there, so he tries explaining himself, but Nick points his gun at him in order for him to walk out because he fears the sheriff would do something terrible to him. The sheriff goes after Nick in the parking lot, where Nick keeps his gun pointed at the sheriff. Unfortunately, his keys are dropped to the ground. He looks away from the sheriff to pick the keys, but the sheriff shoots him within seconds because he doesn't want anyone to find out about his dark side. Back in Lowell's trailer, Sawyer starts liking him and plays word games with him. At night, the sheriff approaches the brothers and gets them to hide Nick's body, claiming the brothers owe him now after he's covering their tracks. The next day, he blames Sawyer's disappearance on the dead cop in front of the senior sheriff and tells him he's run away after getting caught by him. He does this in order to put a pin in the case, but the sheriff reveals that the case was out of their hands, so he handed it to the state police. The corrupt police officer fears his doom, so he stops by Lowell's place and asks to search his trailer personally, but Lowell brings out his rifle and scares him away because he has no search warrant against Lowell. The dirty cop goes to the brothers to update them about the state police and ends up sharing his doubts about Lowell secretly sheltering Sawyer in his trailer. Through their conversation, it's also cleared out that the reason the cop works with them is because they conduct a drug business with the brothers and Lowell being their supplier. Meanwhile, Sawyer helps Lowell fill some buckets with water from the river for his drugs. They sit there for a while, where Lowell expresses he always had a feeling how this would end, but didn't know it would end this way. Long story short, he's already prepared to help Sawyer escape. On the other side, to confirm their suspicion, the brothers pay a surprise visit to Lowell and end up finding Sawyer there. Before they fight, Lowell convinces them Sawyer is his hostage, who runs chores for him around the house. To prove himself, he tells Sawyer to warm up the coffee in the microwave, which in reality is an explosive. Lowell had already expected this day would come, so he had prepared Sawyer for this action already. When the chubby brother goes to take out the coffee from the microwave, a huge explosion occurs, causing him to die on the spot, while the rest make it out of the trailer alive. Sawyer runs away from there, but the brother aims at her with his rifle. Thankfully, Lowell interrupts and snatches his rifle from him. When he aims it at the brother, the corrupt officer shows up and shoots Lowell as well as the brother because he feared that he would rat out his name to the state police upon getting caught by them. Meanwhile, Sawyer makes it to the road, where a police car approaches her. She hitches a ride, thinking she's saved, but when she closely observes the officer, she realizes he's the corrupt one, so she escapes from his car. The officer grabs her near the lake and tries drowning her, but her screwdriver, which Lowell had given her earlier for protection, drops into the lake. Sawyer gets her hands on it and uses it to stab the officer to death. The film ends with Sawyer choosing to walk the rest of her way to Washington instead of getting into the police cars that have found her. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Thank you for being a part of Black's Movie Recaps. If these tales of mystery and intrigue sent shivers down your spine, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Black's Movie Recap for more bone-chilling narratives. Stay tuned, and until next time, stay captivated.